To see, it's like somebody directed a movie and putting all the different actors together, but then to actually go to the premiere of the movie, that's where I'm at right now. So I'm gonna be there. Yeah.
So obviously, Shawn has been training with Lamont in the last, what, maybe month or two?
Yeah, we trained with him about a month.
Yeah. Good minute. Your son, Shawn just beat Ugas. A tough fight, but Shawn still won.
It's so funny to me. Everybody think it was tough, and it was one of his easiest fights.
So he feels good after the fight?
It was one of his easiest fights. Did you look at the punch stats?
I saw.
I don't know what they were, but I know Shawn didn't have to put out any large amount of punch like he normally would do.
Right.
If you look at numbers and you say, well, Shawn threw 90 punches against Danny Garcia in one round, and I think he may have landed 150 punches in this fight. It was because he didn't have to be active. The guy didn't have anything for him. The guy couldn't lead. So, I mean, people see and perceive what they want to see and perceive, but it was actually one of his easiest fights.
Well, I think everybody's going by,
they want to see him, but they want to see him go in and, bang it out. And if he's not brawling, then, he's just not being successful. But then when he brawls, all he can do is brawl. Then he puts on a beautiful display of boxing. He's out-jabbed Keith Thurman. He's out-jabbed Danny Garcia. He's out-jabbed Adrian Broner. He's now out-jabbed this guy. He out-jabbed Granados.
Yep.
But he can't box.
Right.
But that's how boxing is. It's everyone's opinion.
So how soon would you like to see Shawn back in the ring? Anytime soon?
As soon as Errol's ready.
Waiting on Errol?
As soon as Errol's ready. Now, we don't want to wait on Errol. We want Errol to say yes and go ahead and get it done. Yeah, as soon as Errol's ready.
All right, speaking of Errol, obviously you saw his fight against Mikey.
I was there.
Everybody thought that, Errol was going to beat him, which he did.
Yes.
Were you surprised that Mikey was able to take the punishment in 112? I wasn't too surprised, but were you surprised?
No, I wasn't surprised. I figured it would be one or two things. Well, actually, I figured, and I didn't make predictions as I did interviews. And the question was asked to me. I would always say that, I felt that Errol would dominate the fight, and I felt that if it went to distance, he would punish the guy, and he did. And that's I guess one part of it is you could say, well, Mikey went to distance and didn't get stopped, and then the other side of it, you could say, he took a beat.
What do you say to people that try to give Mikey credit for that? Kind of like a participation medal, like he went 12. Does that even count for anything? He wasn't competitive. He lost pretty much every round. You
what?
Think Errol's not getting the credit for that?
Errol should get more credit for that. And I'm always relating something to something else. So let's just quickly say, if I had a young amateur that was coming along, and obviously amateurs don't go 12 rounds, but if I had a young amateur that was coming along and I didn't know what he could do, how good he could take a punch or anything like that, and we had a fight that he lost, but he was able to stand up to a guy, was a bigger guy, stronger guy, we say, okay, well, we know that you can take punches, we can work on some things here. At this level, we don't want to take punches like that. At this level, if you're not competitive, if you're not able to compete with the person you're in there with, it's probably better that we stop this fight, because there's life after boxing. And if you're not protecting these guys for life after boxing, then you're actually someone who's participating in their health being diminished. And that's what happens. I don't care what sport you play. Football, running backs, the knees are gone by the time they're 26, 27 years old. Basketball, you ever seen Michael Jordan walking around? I've seen him walk. It don't look good, okay? Running up and down that court, your body takes a pounding. And boxing, this, over and over and over and over for years, your body's gonna diminish. And a fight like that, a lot is taken out of a guy. Who knows what he's got left after something like that. So,
having said that, do you think it should have been stopped?
I would have.
His corner should have.
I would have stopped it. I would have. Because I understand that truly that this is going to be over with, and then you're going to say, yes, I used to box.
So kind of rolling off of that and getting back to Shawn, it was interesting that you guys came to Headbangers, a tough, hard training camp, but then he came out and boxed. He showed a new wrinkle. So is that along those lines? We're trying to extend that longevity.
But I'll take that after it's over. When my kid doesn't have to go to the hospital, the doctor look at him for less than like 2 minutes, doesn't make him do any type of walking or You know, doesn't have to check his eyes out or do anything. I mean, he didn't even have to. So I'll take that.
Okay.
That wasn't what happened. That wasn't the reason that happened. And you know, for anybody that thinks it's a new wrinkle, Shawn's been boxing like that since he's 12, 13 years old.
But we've become accustomed to the dog,
You're accustomed to certain things, and I'm in agreement with you there. But he's been boxing like that since he's 12, 13 years old. If he had not been, he would not have been able to do that on that night.
Right.
He didn't even train like that with these guys.
Right.
The headbangers, they come to the center of the ring. They come to the center of the ring and they bang. And I was telling Shawn every day when he was coming to the center of the ring, I said, wait a minute, you know, that's not how you fight. You're gonna press these guys, but you're not just gonna come set in the center and just bang with them. So, you know, that particular fight in comparison to Mikey's, I'll take that, you know, I'll take that every time. We can't win like that every time. It's fight specific. So certain guys we fight, we have to fight them a certain way. And what people don't realize and understand is, and that's everyone who's a boxer, if you have a matchmaker, they're going to match people up with you that can accent your style as you're coming up through the ranks. That's what happened for Errol. That's what's happened for Shawn. That's what happened for a lot of different guys. And then you get to certain levels where, okay, now you got to fight a Keith Thurman, or you got to fight a Danny Garcia, or you got to fight this person or that person. And so it may be a Danny Garcia saying, damn, I don't want to take that fight against Shawn Porter because that ain't the style I've been dealing with all these years. Or it may be a Keith Thurman saying, oh, man, I don't want to take that fight with Shawn Porter. It ain't the style I've been dealing with in all those years. And now people are looking and probably saying, Errol's left-handed. He's coming straight forward. He's banging guys out. I don't want to take that. No, we want that fight.
Right.
We want that fight because that's the level we're at. We want that fight.
So if it's not that unification fight, you mentioned Errol. I mean, if that doesn't happen, it doesn't seem like Keith Thurman's at that point yet to face either a Porter or Spence. I mean, so if it's not Errol, anyone else
there's
on the
no
radar?
Other thought than Errol.
No?
Honestly,
Okay.
there's no other. I haven't thought about anything else. The first time I thought about it, which I didn't even allow it just now, was when you mentioned it. So I blocked it out. You mentioned it, I blocked it out. But beyond that, we don't want to step back. We don't want to step back. You know, the mandatory situation was one we had nothing, no control over. And again, you know, for all the naysayers and the different people who have said the things that made absolutely no sense whatsoever, that Shawn ducked Errol Spence. Why would Errol Spence turn down a fight in the Cowboy Stadium for pay-per-view money against a guy coming up 2 weight classes to fight a dog on Fox Sports for less money? Made no sense whatsoever. So now Errol's looking at Pacquiao, which I understand that. I truly do. Errol's actually one of my guys. I was in the corner, well, not literally in the corner, but I was right next to the corner when he fought Kell Brook. So every round, and if you were to interview and you were to ask him, he would tell you as he stood up to go out for every round, him and I were right here, and I was yelling something to him, and he was like, yes, let's go. And when he stopped that guy, I don't take no credit for what Errol does, absolutely not. What I'm just saying is we have that kind of relationship that I want him to get the best he can get out of his career. So when he stopped that guy, I told him this round right here, now, it's over, let's get it done right now, all right? He believes in that because we've traveled all over the world together, the World Championships in Azerbaijan, which is a little country sits on the Caspian Sea in between Iran and Russia, right? We've traveled together to Russia. Siberia is 30 degrees below zero, right? I'm his head coach over there. In the Ukraine, we did the same thing. So we've done these things and we've traveled all over the world. When he has great opportunities, I want to see him be successful. So taking that fight against Mikey was great for him. Taking the fight with Pacquiao is excellent for him. If he can pull that off, I want him to get it. Only thing I'm saying is, and same thing Shawn said, if Pacquiao taking too long, don't look left, don't look right here, and let's get this done, you know. And that'll be the only night I won't be cheering for.
So you guys still promoting? I know you started like promotion and Shawn Porter.
Well, you know, it's only when Shawn is doing what he's doing. And then there's some different fighters that we've looked at to do some things with, and he just brought 2 guys to me. I noticed they stayed around. They was at the beginning of the camp, and we came to DC and we worked, and we came back and they were still in Vegas. And I seen them like last week. I said, Shawn, how come these kids ain't went home? He said, oh, I want to sign them. I said, really? I said, okay. all right, that's cool, you know. So that's what he wants to do now. He's got 2 guys, and it's funny because they're 23, one's 23, one's 24. The funny part of it is I started them off when they were 7 and 8 years old. So they're actually my babies. And then they grew up, and then one went to college and got a degree, the other one went to the Air Force, and he came back, and then they turned professional. Jose and his brother David Rodriguez, and now they're pros, and it went around all the way around, and then they came back, and they're linking up with Shawn. So I think it's pretty cool.
Now,
so we would promote those guys.
Being on the boxing side, transitioning to trying to, on the promotion side, how hard is that for you guys? Since you know the ins.
You know what? Let me just say this. It's never going to be a situation where we go 1,000% into promotion. It's never going to be a situation where we're going 1,000% into management. It's never going to be a situation where I'm taking on 10 or 15 fighters. My man Barry does that up here with the headbangers, and it's unbelievable that he got as many guys as he got on the card on Sunday. I know he got the main event, the co-main event. I think he got 6 bouts.
Yeah,
6
bouts.
Is it 6?
Yep.
Okay, so I really actually wanted to dress like this on Sunday, but they've already told me they got a fit for me. I'm working.
Okay.
But that's what we do. But I wouldn't take on that. That's just way too much for me. So no, I'm not going to allow it to be that hard for me to be involved with promotions and marketing and management and training. I'll diversify and give something here or there, but you know, from the promotional side of it or whatever, we could take on someone if he's got the right character. But other than that, we can't take on, you know, insurmountable. What Barry's doing is unbelievable, and he's successful with it. He brings all those different guys in there, and from, I think the youngest kid that was working out with us was like 15 years old, but he's like a national champion 10 times already. Obviously, the oldest kid with us was Lamont. Lamont beat everybody in everything, in every sprint, in every workout, in every bag drill, in every sparring session. Lamont was, and it's amazing to me. So yeah, we'll be coming back here.
I got a question. I know you addressed this before. Shawn missed the weight. A couple ounces.
I didn't address that. He addressed that. I ain't messed that up. He did that. Go ahead.
The question is, are the obligations, like the media obligations, the baby obligations, is that taken away from the stream?
I haven't had a chance to talk with him or ask him what that was that did that exactly, and to see what he said. But he did address it and said he didn't take care of his business. He said it was his fault, and he owned it. I respect him for that, but I haven't had a chance, just like we haven't even really discussed the fight. So kind of give him a chance to let everything settle in, get itself back together. And what's your name? What is it? Maurice. Maurice, I will be asking him. Listen, Maurice wants to know, Shawn. what was going on that made you, you know, but I stepped back that week and I let him do what he wanted to do because he told me he had it. And sometimes when these guys get older, they think they know what they're doing, and it's very hard for me to step back. I stepped back and I watched him, and it didn't work out very well for him. And he called me that morning and he said, "Hey, I got a problem. I need your help." I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Well, I feel like I need your help getting this weight together." And so I came down, I checked out the situation, and I just looked at it, shaking my head like, yeah. You knew all week long. You could have said something Tuesday. You could have said something Wednesday. But he
He's
didn't.
staying at 147, right?
Yeah, that wasn't the problem. That wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't that. The problem was him. You know, and he said he could do it. So this was the first time in his life, through the amateurs or the pros, that this happened. But what I'm saying is that week he wanted to do it on his own. So I didn't have anything to do. I wasn't looking at his intake of food, solid. I wasn't looking at his intake of fluids, where I would normally, you know, regulate all that and know what time and what it is, and we'd have it all mapped out, and I'd be sitting there watching it, literally knocking on the door, or he'd be coming to my room showing me what he's about to eat. I stepped back, it didn't work out. I stepped back then, we got it together, came down to the last hairs on his head, the last few seconds on the clock because they was gonna DQ him, and the last breath he had.
Right, one more question.
Yeah.
Seems like the zone is writing blank checks right now.
They're writing blank checks?
Well, I mean,
Somebody didn't get their money?
could you ever see a situation where your team is on the zone?
They approached this a long time ago. wasn't something I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah, we were one of the first, but we don't run around telling anybody kind of stuff like that. So it happened to us like a year ago. You know, the conversation and the emails and things like that. But
what was the deal they on?
Again, I'm not the person to run around and do stuff like that. But it was nice. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm just a firm believer that. My son sent me a text message this morning. I said, again, I always relate things. I always kind of like, always put stuff together like that. 1 + 1 = 2, right? So this guy here is a chef. You know, during the camp, he was cooking for everybody. And he knew we were coming to town. He wanted to know what we wanted to have. So Shawn sends me a text message. He said, "What you having?" I just told him what I was having. And he's texting me back. He said, "You always get the same stuff." I said, "Oh, well, I always wear the same colors. I always go to the same places. I always eat the same foods. I always buy the same shoes. And I don't make no mistakes." So I limit my problems that way. So the same thing happens in a business decision such as that, switching over to somebody who's new to this business, who's not a part of this country. And I've actually already done business with these guys. I've been back and forth to England. I've had guys fight on their cards. I know what it kind of feels like to deal with them a little bit. So I love it over there. Not necessarily a situation that I want to be in with someone in control of what I got going on in another country. So everything is already in place. It's good here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Switching back to Lamont real quick, I mean, you were in the camp with them and everything, and something that I thought was interesting, after his last fight, they asked Barry, you know, if he were to hang him up now after the Spence fight, Barry said, "I wouldn't have any problem with it. You know, he's done what he's done. His career is set." But now, a little bit over a year after he's coming back, I mean, how do you see from your perspective what Peterson brought to training, and how do you think he'll look on, you know, against the dog? I mean,
I want Shawn. I mean, personally, I was telling Shawn a couple more years. Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, Bud Crawford. Leave this game alone. Those type of guys, we want those fights. I did not envision no disrespect. I didn't envision a Ugas situation. That was, you know what I mean? That wasn't part of my plan. Okay. We would have loved to have been in the Cowboy Stadium. And trust and believe, as much as great as he looked against Mikey Garcia, no, that's not happening here. You're not getting those kind of results. If you crack us, we cracking your ass right back. And if you crack us twice, we coming with 4. So it was great to be there. The atmosphere was great. It was great to see him be successful again. You know, like I said, I love the kid. Been around him since he's 17, 18 years old. But we want to come to Dallas and get down. Now, as far as Lamont is concerned, I would understand Barry's position, what he initially said, but then you see Lamont work out, and you look and you're just like, I can't believe this. I mean, literally, he's the only person that I've ever seen, especially at his age, but he's the only person I've ever seen do the things that he's done in a training camp and leave my kid 4 or 5 steps behind. And I know that Shawn, you know, coming back, you know, and being off for a while like he had, and, you know, doing a lot of stuff in Hollywood with the TV show and all that, you know, he wasn't where he should have been when he got there. But Lamont Peterson is amazing. And right behind Lamont Peterson is Anthony, and he's amazing. So when you see that, and the proof is in the pudding, meaning if he says, hey, I want to fight someone again, and then you get a fight against Lipinets at home, you got to go with it. There's no second thoughts. There would be no second thoughts. I mean, like, if you saw any of the workouts, when they're using the sledgehammer to hit the tire, and they're moving around in different positions, Lamont picks up the sledgehammer with one hand. And he hits the tire with one hand. And then he switches, and he hits it with the left hand. And then my kid is hitting it with one, and he's struggling because it's a hard thing to do, especially with all the other stuff, the other stations they got going on, you know. And then Anthony comes along, and he's hitting it with 2, and he saw his brother, and he just said, all right, I'm going with the 1, you know. And the point I'm making about that is, if you're training someone and they no longer have it, you'll see it in the camp. you'll see it in the camp, and you'll look at a guy and you'll say, okay, it's probably time for us to, find something else to do. And you might have to have that conversation with him. Hey man, if you can't pick this up, if you don't have the ability to drive yourself to the level or push yourself to the levels that we've previously been at, we don't want you getting in here getting hurt. And that's probably the conversation you gotta have with him. But when you see a guy like this, the youngest kid who was training with them was 15 years old. The next kid was like 17, and the next one was 18. They were all national champions. Lamont is beating everyone in every aspect of everything they did. And when the workouts are over with, him and Anthony start their own workouts. So Shawn does a cool-down stretch for everybody. We completed the workout. He does a cool-down stretch. Lamont and Anthony said, we can't do the cool-down stretch. We still got some stuff we want to do in the gym. Barry says, no, you're going to do a cool-down stretch and you're done for the day. So they go ahead and they do the cool-down stretch. They're done for the day, but then they're like little kids when we get back walking through the gym. They're like, can I please just do this? Can I please just do that? And Barry gives into it because that's the type of mentality that you want all of your guys to have. And that's what he's going to bring to the ring on Fight Night. So it's a fine balance that Barry's got to find there. And I'm in Barry's ear. I'm like, Barry, I think you need to slow him down. I think you need to pull him back. And he's like, I'm trying to. I want that problem. I want the problem of having someone that I have to train and have to pull them away from the work that they're doing, and then it's crossing over in everything he does. So no, I don't think he's a vegetarian now or vegan or anything like that, but he's like walking such a tightrope on the stuff he eats. Like he's whipping out, some kind of roots and berries and all kinds of stuff like that and throwing that in. And he's just really all across the board, physically, mentally, emotionally, nutritionally, spiritually ready and prepared for his fights. So,
Let me ask you about Anthony.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about Anthony's career.
Yeah.
What do you think he hasn't fought elite competition?
I only heard one thing as far as that's concerned. And what I heard was his record being, having as many fights and as many wins as he had, they only wanted to put him in against flat-out dogs. And Barry felt like he needed to take the steps that he needed to take to get back to that level to fight a dog. So he didn't want to take those kind of fights. And then if you don't take those fights, you got to take the lesser guys. And the problem you have now is you're still building the record up. There's getting more wins, but then they're wanting you to take not one step, they're wanting you to jump right here. So I think, was it the Brandon Rios?
Yep.
Brandon Rios fight.
Comparing those guys.
Right. It was the Brandon Rios fight. And then after that, he hasn't had any high-level fights. And having so many wins and so much experience, they wanted him to just jump right in with the biggest guy. So I think this is a good fight for him. It's a step that he can take and measure and see where he's at and then make another move from here. But I'm thinking his success Sunday and then another step and then a world championship fight. You got to do it or you got to shit or get off the pot.
Right.
Switching gears.
Yes.
Now, let's say that Errol and Pacquiao do get it on.
Yeah.
What do you want to do for Shawn next? Where you want to go with him?
Again, I didn't allow him to even, and then you want to put another equation into it. I really cannot digest that. It's got to be Errol Spence. And honestly, I don't think Pacquiao would fight Shawn because Shawn was his sparring partner when Shawn was 21. And we got fired from that job. We did 6 weeks in the Philippines. We got back here and it's like, here's your ticket home. That was for Cotto. And then he fought Shane Mosley. They called us back. We went back to the Philippines. Another 6 weeks. We come back. They fired all the sparring partners and just kept Shawn. So instead of paying another 5 guys $1,000 a week, they just paid Shawn a little bit more. And then him and Shawn banged it out. So they knew where he was at when he was 21 years old, 22 years old. And they're just feeling like that's not the fight that they want. And I don't know if that's, I don't think the matchup with Errol is the best matchup for Pacquiao. No, I don't think that's the best matchup for Pacquiao, but I know he's a warrior and he'll take on that kind of challenge. It would do absolutely no good for Shawn to say he wants to fight Pacquiao because they're friends and Pacquiao is a nice guy and he's not going to react to that. He's going to have his mind made up and go whatever direction he decides to go. So it's got to be Errol Spence for us. Errol Spence, Errol Spence.
Yeah, the rumor is that Pacquiao is supposed to be going with Thurman anyway. So that's
but there's always rumors. You know, there's always rumors. I think that's an exciting matchup, those two guys. You know, Keith's one of my guys as well. As you know, I go back to the amateurs with him, and I want to see him have a great fight. His fight coming back, you know, had been a while for him, and he has to knock off some rust. And I think Pacquiao is definitely a good fight for him. It's a big name. It's a big name for anybody, you know. But you know, we want Errol.
So would that be? Do you think that would be a retirement fight for Pacquiao, Errol Spence?
It could be. It could be. It doesn't matter who you are when you get over 40 and you're still boxing. You're putting yourself in this. You know, you're one fight away from retirement. You know, he could have had a bad fight against Broner and retired, or he could have won like he did win, and after it's over because of his age, say, hey, that's it for me, because we're going back to what I said before. If you don't have everything that it takes, the determination and desire in the camp leading up to the fight, it's time for you to leave this alone. So nobody knows when he's going to wake up and just say, bye-bye. No, I was saying bye to her. But nobody knows. Nobody knows when he's going to say, bye-bye, that's it, I'm done.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you think about
she was right on cue.
What do you think about Terrence Crawford, Amir Khan? That's another big fight, April 20th.
Excellent fight. Where's the fight at? It's in Vegas.
MSG.
April 20th.
MSG, no, New York.
Oh, it's here.
New York, yeah.
April 20th. I'll come back for that. I mean, like, I go back with all of these guys.
Right.
I was in the tournament with Terrence when Terrence was 14 years old. I was in the tournament with Amir when Amir was 16. In the finals, crazy, right? The finals, the championship. Oh man, why is this kid? We had Victor Ortiz against Amir at 16. And I was in the corner against Amir. Amir won the fight. So yeah, it's some exciting fights, and I want to be there as, you know, just as a fan. But it's also great because I watch these kids grow up.
So does Amir Khan have a good chance of beating Terrence Crawford at this stage of his career? Obviously, he's a great boxer. He's a boxer.
I think Amir brings a great, exciting fight. Ultimately, at the end of this fight, I see Terrence winning this fight. There's a good chance that this doesn't go the distance, and it's Terrence Crawford all the way for me. Anyone who fights Amir, they're in an exciting fight. Even if it ends bad for Amir, it's still exciting.
So what could Amir do? I mean, you know, I don't want to, like, do you think his issue is his chin?
It seems to be that, you know, against the harder punches, he doesn't do well. I believe part of that problem might be his fighting style and the way he comes forward with hand speed. And he's bringing his chin and, you know, he's kind of like exposing himself. Right. He doesn't take a lot of angles and move around. He'll come in with the hand speed. It's what got him here, but it's also what's gotten him hurt. Maybe if he was to tweak that a little bit, he'd be a little better. You rarely ever see, I don't even remember Amir in a fight where he was tying up a guy and trying to fight on the inside at all and tying a guy up to protect himself a little bit. I don't even recall that. So, yeah, there's definitely some things he could do to avoid those situations, but that's not the way he fights.
So you expect a knockout, probably?
I see Terrence stopping.